Hi, it's a Wealthy Expat here. If you watch this channel, you know that I invested into a second citizenship. St. Kitts and Nevis, $150,000 cost me this beautiful little book. I've been to over 10 countries with this passport. I'm going to tell you my experience in border checkpoints around the world, getting visas on this passport as well, because I had to get a visa. It was very simple. I'll tell you the process and what country and what requirements they asked me, and overall how it's been traveling the world over 10 countries in a couple of months on this beautiful passport. The first country that I visited on my St. Kitts and Nevis passport was Romania. Absolutely terrible experience at the border checkpoint. They asked me a million questions. They asked me if it was even a real country, where was it located, where did I live, if I lived in St. Kitts or not. I had to show them my Dubai residence permit that I actually live in the UAE. But this is something that appears to be common. A lot of people told me, yeah, this is normal in Romania. They question your mother's name and everything. They ask you absolutely everything when you actually show up at the border. So this was expected, or this was something I didn't know it before when I arrived in Romania, but after I really understood the process. We stayed there for a couple of days, and then I went to my second country, which was Seychelles. Seychelles is an absolutely beautiful country, very easy to get in on this passport. You do get visa free on arrival, and then they stamp my passport with the particular little coconut or little nut that they have. I'll show it here. That's a stamp on the passport, and then they put on the top the day that you're supposed to leave the country. So this is very important that you actually tell them how many days you're staying in the Seychelles, because they will put it at the top of the stamp in your passport. If you stay longer than that day, you need to extend that authorization there. So even if you get 90 days or 180 days or whatever, make sure you extend that authorization if you want to stay longer in the Seychelles. Very easy experience. They just stamped the passport, asked me where I lived. I said Dubai and the UAE, and there I went. That's typically what happens with passports like these that are new, that don't have many stamps on them, that are from a country that people don't know that much about. They will ask you, where do you live? And then you tell them Dubai, and you show your Dubai ID, and it's pretty much done. The third country that I visited was Tanzania in Africa. Also very easy experience, visa free, I think. I didn't need a visa, didn't need a visa on arrival. I just went there and that was it. And they basically stamped the passport. They asked me, oh, you're from the Caribbean. I say, yeah, I'm from the Caribbean, because technically I am, even though I bought this passport, I'm also from the Caribbean, from Puerto Rico. Even though it's a US territory, it is in the Caribbean. So yes, I'm from the Caribbean. And the guy was like, oh, awesome, I love the Caribbean. Here's your stamp, here's your passport, enjoy Tanzania. Very easy experience. Now the next one, which was quite tough, I would say it was a surprise to get into, was Armenia. I essentially looked at the visa requirements for Armenia for the St. Kitts and Nevis passport, and I found out that I had free visa on arrival. So I went to the border counter in Dubai to fly to Armenia, and he said, no, you need a visa. It's not visa on arrival. You need an e-visa for Armenia. And I said, no, I need a visa. I need to go to Armenia. So I ended up missing my flight. I couldn't go to Armenia, and then I found out that I actually needed an e-visa. I applied for the e-visa, and it took exactly 3 business days to get approved. Very easy procedure. You just tell them where you're staying in Armenia. You can put any random hotel you want. My assistant filled out the application. She even got the address wrong in Armenia, and it didn't matter. You just fill out the application. They give you 90 days visa free, and you can enter on your St. Kitts passport. So just know that some countries, if you look up the visa requirements, for example, on Wikipedia, they might say visa free on arrival. They might say visa on arrival, but make sure you check the website of the government of that country to see if you need a visa, because for Armenia, it says visa on arrival, but in reality, you need a visa beforehand. The next one was Georgia, which I need a visa on this passport. I need an e-visa, but funny enough, if you have the St. Kitts passport, but you are a resident of about 15 to 20 countries, you don't need a visa for Georgia. And one of those countries is the UAE. So if you're a St. Kitts and Nevis holder, St. Lucia holder, St. whatever holder, and then you have a UAE ID, a UAE residence permit, an Emirates ID and everything, you don't actually need a visa for Georgia, and you can enter as if you didn't need a visa. So that's a very interesting way of getting into some countries with one of these passports, is just getting a residence permit somewhere else. A lot of Indian nationals ask me about that. For example, if they have an Indian passport and they get a UAE ID, where can they get into? Well, one of those places is Georgia, as well as many other places around the world, which is very interesting. So research into that. The next country that I visited was France. I visited France, but I first entered through Germany. In Germany, in France, in Italy, in many of these countries in Central Europe, typically when I talk to people with these passports, they say that it's a very smooth experience, and for me it was as well. They typically ask you about 3 or 4 questions. They ask you, how long are you staying, when was the last time that you came to Europe, what countries are you visiting, and for what. So essentially I told them, oh, I'm going to visit a couple of countries all over Europe. They said, how long? I said, about a month and a half. They said, what's the purpose? I said, just tourism. I want to enjoy summer in Europe. And they said, awesome. And they just stamped the passport. And that was pretty much it. That's really what happens with all the people that I talked to that have gotten citizenship by investing, unless you're born in a country that the EU doesn't like, for example, Iran, or you're born in any country that is at war right now, or you're born in, countries that are sanctioned, specifically, for example, Russia now. They're having a lot of problems. So for example, if you're born in one of these countries and you show up with a citizenship by investment passport, they might ask you, how did you get this? Where do you live? Is it even a real country? So they might ask you those extra questions, but in my case, it just said the Puerto Rico basically was my birthplace, and they didn't ask any other questions. They just looked at their system, saw if I needed a visa, and typically that's what European nations or Central European nations will do. You show up at the border with this passport, they look at their system, St. Kitts and Nevis, it says 90 days without visa, okay great, stamp your passport, have a great day. The next countries after Germany were France, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, and Spain, and for all these countries, obviously they're in the Schengen area, so I didn't need to get any visas or go through any border checkpoints because I was already in Germany, and we just passed through these countries by car or by plane, and it was relatively easy, but I had to show the passport at the different airports, and overall the experience was very smooth. Nobody ever questioned me, nobody has questioned me, knock on wood, about how I got this passport. For example, if I bought it or if I got it in an illegal way, anything like that, which obviously I didn't. I got it in an illegal way, I invested into the country, gave them a donation, and they got me the passport. You can also say that you've been naturalized, because investment is a form of naturalization if they do ask you how you got the passport. Overall, great experience flying on this passport. The only thing that I would recommend is be prepared for those questions. Where do you live? Show me your residence permit in another country. Make sure you have residence permits all over the world. If you're going to get one of these passports, get a residence permit in Dubai, get a residence permit, for example, like the Portugal Golden Visa. Just get another permit all over the world or somewhere in another region of the world, so you can say that you live in that country, because these countries are very small, they're not that well known, and if you don't look like you're from one of these countries, they might not trust that you actually live there. And also make sure that you check the visa requirements of each country. For example, for Armenia, I thought it was visa on arrival, I missed my flight, and then I ended up getting a visa. It was extremely easy to get that visa, but a lot of countries you do need a visa to get into, even if it says visa on arrival. So make sure you check beforehand and be ready for those questionings at the airport. If you're looking to become a wealthy expat, get a second citizenship, get second residence, move to a country like Dubai and the UAE to pay 0% tax and live this lifestyle, click that first link in the description, book a one-on-one call with me and the Wealthy Expat team. Let's see if we can help you put all of this together, get you a second residence, second citizenship, protect your wealth, protect your assets and your family. Click that link right now and book a call. And check out the video that's gonna pop up right here on the best passport to buy if you have the money to get second citizenship. All the passports that are available for citizenship by investment, I compare them step by step, and I determine which one is best for you depending on your particular situation. Check out the video right now, subscribe, hit that notification bell, the like button down below, and I will see you on the next one. I am the Wealthy Expat.